Hey, what's up guys, Rev here. So today we're going to be once again revisiting Idubbbz Content Cop on H3 because as this video gets more and more exposure, the people involved with this project are crashing out harder and harder as they face a mountain of criticism, and also people are starting to pick up the many inconsistencies and hypocrisy contained throughout this entire Content Cop. Now the reaction to this has been very negative overall. You can see the dislikes have surpassed the number of likes with 368,000 dislikes versus 327,000 likes. Now, this ratio of dislikes versus likes is not too surprising given the context. So you have Idubbbz here, who's been on a self-help journey over the past couple of years, renouncing his old self and his old content, including his Content Cop series, which he described as mean-spirited and nothing more than just bullying. And he said he would never make another one again. Of course, he lied. He dusted off the series to make this Content Cop on his former friend, Ethan Klein, and it's backfiring horribly. Ironically enough, Idubbbz and his companions in this video frame this entire thing as a nightmare for Ethan Klein. However, it's turning into a nightmare for Idubbbz and all of his comrades who tried their best to attack Ethan Klein. Now you can see the lovable band of weirdos in the background here. Seeing Idubbbz fall this low is pretty hard to watch, employing people like Hasan Piker and Frogan and DenimsTV to try to go after Ethan Klein, who all of these participants who contributed to this video, they all hate Ethan Klein. They're even described by Idubbbz as his biggest haters, and they were the ones pretty much ghostwriting this entire Content Cop, and it was really just Idubbbz who was the mouthpiece bringing forward the same claims they've been making about Ethan Klein for years and years. Now, this is a very weird situation where an exposed video and a Content Cop has actually resulted in the people who made it taking the biggest L in the situation. Ethan Klein is not taking the biggest L in this situation. And by the way, I will reiterate, I am not a fan of Ethan Klein. I'm indifferent to the guy. I have no real stake in this. I'm just looking at the reaction here. And it's clear based on how people have perceived this Content Cop, Idubbbz, the man who made it, is taking the biggest L. That is almost impressively bad. And also we're seeing a lot of the participants here also taking a lot of L's. And again, they're outside their echo chamber. They're seeing criticism that they're not used to. And they're kind of shocked. They're really shell-shocked, if we're being honest here. They're kind of caught in the daylights here because they didn't expect this to flop so bad. And now they're crashing out on social media and their hypocrisy in the videos being exposed. And that's what I want to focus on today. So, a lot of people are talking about the appearance of Frogan in this video. So, Frogan being in a Content Cop is hilarious because 10 years ago, she would have had a Content Cop made on her. If you don't remember or you're not familiar with who she is, she's the lovely individual who said that American soldiers should get PTSD, among other things that I'll talk about in a second.
I have no pity at all for any fucking soldiers. Distress, thank you so much. I will never have any fucking pity for any fucking soldiers. U.S. military? Boo fucking who? I hope you get PTSD.
So yeah, the irony of that, saying these things about the people ensuring and fighting for your freedoms as you sit in your apartment shoving food in your face while you literally stream for a living is just peak disrespect. But she's done other things as well, like she had a sub goal where she was going to bake a cake that would look like the Twin Towers, and then she was going to fly a plane into it. She also was participating in a race-based tier list, among many other things. A lot of people have a very negative view of this individual for good reason. However, in response to the criticism many people involved in the Content Cop have been facing, she made this magnum opus, saying this: Ethan Klein wants to defend Muslims because he's being held accountable in the Content Cop for continuously being a vile person. Idubbbz has apologized, shown genuine change over the last decade, and is literally married to a Muslim woman, by the way. Okay, that is very rich. Number one, this whole thing about Idubbbz showing genuine change. The only thing that changed for Idubbbz was pretty much his political beliefs and what side he wants to take on various things. I think that's the only thing that's changed. Now, you're saying Idubbbz has apologized and he's doing all these great things for Muslims. I remember years ago, this clip is resurfaced where he literally rips a Quran in half on camera.
That was sent from an electronics place, and it's the full-blown Quran. Some of you guys didn't bat an eye when I broke that Jesus VHS over my knee, but I know there's going to be a lot of people in the audience just cringe.
I'm no expert in Islam, but I have a strong feeling ripping a Quran in half is frowned upon. Okay? As far as I can tell, he never apologized for this. So seeing people using Islam as a shield for Idubbbz, while he has clips like this of him going around with no explanation or apology for it, seems like peak irony. Now, of course, she also mentioned the fact that he's literally married to a Muslim woman, by the way, which this Muslim woman we're referring to also has an OnlyFans, which is peak irony. But also, as people have pointed out left and right, she literally has a video saying why she left Islam. She's not even practicing the faith anymore. So that's a complete and utter lie. But also, if you go to her account, you see her constantly say she was raised Muslim, that she's Lebanese. In some of these keyword searches of Lebanese on her account, sometimes she says she's half Lebanese. Sometimes she says she's just straight up Lebanese. That's interesting because recently some Discord screenshots have been leaked where she said she's actually 50% Irish, 25% Italian, and only 8% Arab. This is the Muslim and Lebanese woman that apparently is off limits for criticism because of who she is. Well, this is kind of crazy because personally speaking, I have more Mediterranean blood than her. I have almost the same amount of Middle Eastern. I guess I've been a minority this whole time, at least according to these weirdos on social media. I should have been using that as a shield for years and years, just like Anissa has been. But like, yeah, this is ridiculous. Totally exposed 100%. But of course, who comes in to defend Frogan from all this criticism? It is Hasan Piker, who had this to say about people criticizing Frogan.
Like, Asmongold, XQC, I saw some of them go fucking viral too. It's like, yeah, bro, she's hijabi, I know. And don't even fucking for a moment act like that does not contribute to this. They will say, oh, it's because we hate her opinions. Like, no, you reacted that way specifically for a very specific purpose, bro. I hate this. I hate this shit so much. But it's not necessarily that I hate the reaction, and I think it's more so that it's so normalized to behave this way. It really grosses me out.
Amazing. So right here, he's using the fact that she wears a hijab as some sort of a shield for anything she's facing. Notice how in this response I've never made fun of her appearance or anything about that. I'm just pointing out the blatant hypocrisy and lies that she's raising in her defense of Idubbbz, his wife, and really anyone who is associated with the content cop. You don't have to reduce yourself to making fun of their appearance when what they're saying is so stupid that it really should just be the target of what you're doing. But this is the internet. Of course, people are going to make fun of people's appearances. If you don't like that, well, then get off of the internet. That's just the way it is, unfortunately. But like I said, what we discussed here is just what she's saying publicly. And then she had this other part of her little spurg out here saying, if one of your self-proclaimed close friends made a YouTube video about how shitty you're being, sit back and reflect on that. Ian was so charitable to Ethan and approached it in ways most don't. Now, this is funny because there is a whole 2-hour content nuke on Hasan Piker that was released by Ethan Klein, which many people believe is the reason this content cop was made in the first place. And yet, as a good friend, wouldn't Frogan make sure that Hasan Piker actually watches this? Well, I guess not, because he still to this day has not watched this. He refuses to engage with this, which would be the exact opposite message of what she just said in that tweet. Now, there's another individual who was in this video named Sean DeBlack. That's his name. I'm not making anything up there. He's very aware, I guess, of also the fact that no one knows who he is, which I guess I can commend the self-awareness there. But from looking through everything associated with this guy, all I see him is defending these people in the Hasan Piker orbiter station here, trying to defend that race-based tier list where he said basically that this whole list wasn't actually racist, despite the fact that literally the F tier was Jews and the A tier, the S tier was Arabs. I think that's a race-based tier list. I think anyone reasonable would interpret that way. But also there's some clips of him saying this about Destiny.
Can somebody just like, it would just be so easy to just, it would save, like, solve all of our problems. Like, we would have socialism now at this point, right? We would have socialism at this point if someone just went out of their way and it would be so easy. This is what happens when you don't kill every single slave owner after slavery. They have children, and their children have children, and their children have children, and then their children have accidents that should have ended up on a sock, and it becomes Destiny.
Yeah, here's the thing again to clarify. I don't like Destiny at all. Not one tiny bit. But of course, advocating for all this crazy rhetoric directed towards him, again, just seems in line with everyone else who participated in the content cop on Ethan Klein. Now, there was also this other part of the video, and the reason I'm talking about this Sean guy here is that there's a very strange section at the end of the content cop where Idubbbz tries to spin it all around in a positive way and says, you know what, maybe Ethan Klein needs a hug. He also says he should be beaten, but that's a whole nother thing. But he basically tries to get everyone in the video to make what was supposed to be a genuine set of compliments about Ethan Klein. So basically, after beating the guy up for an hour straight, employing his greatest enemies, at least they said something nice in the closing minutes. That makes everything better. It makes it fair, makes it impartial. But let's play this part for just a second.
Psychology in Seattle was watching these video clips of Ethan. He said that it looks like Ethan could just use a hug. Now, of course, it kind of pisses me off to hear that shit, because I'm like, what are we doing? What are we saying? He needs a hug? No, he doesn't need a hug. He needs a good fucking ass whooping is what he needs.
So there Ethan is, or Ian is saying that Ethan deserves to be beaten up, while he's trying to say that he also could use a hug. Very strange approach once again, always resorting to violent threats and violent rhetoric. I mean, he fits right in with the ghostwriters of this video. It's very impressive, actually.
Needs. I think something that's very important to me in bringing back Content Cop is to be fair. I think that was something that was not illustrated in previous Content Cops, that
he's fair in this one, where everyone involved is described as Ethan's biggest haters.
I think should have been, and probably wouldn't have left me with so much regret. Ethan deserves all of the criticism that he's getting. I think it's very valid, but I also think at the end of the day, we should acknowledge that he's human, because he is human. And he is in a situation that's making him extremely scared, paranoid, defensive, sensitive, and I'm sure other features and feelings. In the spirit of Kirk saying that it looks like Ethan could just use a hug, I have challenged some of his most powerful haters to put down the haterade and just say something nice and charitable about him, because I think he deserves it.
I just wanted to say that
And then it goes through with many of the participants in this video saying something nice about Ethan Klein, and most of it is backhanded compliments, by the way. But I was able to snag a screenshot of this before this individual went private. They made a tweet with thousands of likes saying, why did someone treating another person like a flawed human being and being fair and forgiving make me cry? And one of the examples was this Sean guy who was trying to make compliments about Ethan Klein in that video. Well, it turns out, to the dismay of weirdos like this, it was all fabricated. It was all lies. I know, shocking twist of events here, but Sean openly admits on stream after the video was released that he faked all this. He thought he had to say something nice, even though he didn't want to. That's the only reason why he said what he did in the video.
We're watching Hasan watch it, and like, I'm watching Hasan watch it, and Hasan doesn't have a nice thing about Ethan. And the chat asked what I'm thinking. I'm like, wait, you didn't do a nice thing about Ethan? And he was like, no. And I'm like, wait, that was an option? I could have just said no. Mr. Charitability over here. Mr. Charitability over here said no to saying a nice thing about Ethan, but I did. All right.
Yeah, I feel like this was the case with a lot of people in their initial reaction to the video being released. They thought it was going to be gassed up. They thought this was going to be some gigantic W for them. So they just started kind of opening up and saying all these things, and they're dismantling the video even further. This proves even the section that was supposed to be nice to Ethan Klein was all fabricated just to make the bullies in this situation look like the nice guys. It was manipulative and weird. And yes, going back to, not deleted, but this account has gone private since then. Going back to this, only someone who's completely naive was unable to see how manipulative and weird that section of the video was. And the fact that also Hasan Piker was allowed to sit it out is, well, peak irony. But you might have noticed a constant mention of Dr. Kirk. Now, to give you guys some context of what's going on here, I didn't even know the full story of this until recently. So you have this therapist who has gone around and done some reviews of apologies. He just takes kind of the apology for what it is, doesn't matter who the person is, and gives it a grade of how effective the apology was. And apparently he did one for Ethan Klein at the request of Idubbbz. And Idubbbz didn't like the score. So Idubbbz, in response, then flew out to Seattle, where this guy is, and then came to his office and essentially tried to press him into changing the score for Ethan Klein to make it worse. He did not change the score, by the way, but also in response after that, he then did the famous crying segment where Ian was crying over people being mean to his wife online, which he also included in the content cop as a way to make himself the victim somehow in his own content cop on someone else. But in response to that, Dr. Kirk has come out and basically said, whoa, I don't know why I'm so involved with this content cop. I was just kind of doing my old reviews here, and I basically didn't know any sort of background on who any of these people were when he made these grades.
In the moment, just came up with a policy to say, look, you know, in that moment, I did minimal research and background, and I evaluated the apology video for what it was. The grade isn't an indication of an endorsement of the individual or a condemnation of the individual.
And that was his response when he was confronted by Idubbbz because he didn't give the ideal score for Ethan Klein's apologies. Very weird section. You're trying to weaponize this therapist into a way of getting a dunk on Ethan Klein. Very weird section of that video. And then another participant we can look at is DenimsTV, but do we care enough? I mean, this is all she's done. She said this wake up Ethan thing referring to the opening bit of the video and then posted this cringe, and that's been pretty much it. Like, I don't know, this is the woman who justified CPS being called on children like Ethan Klein's children because they're too young to remember anything that happened, so it's okay in that regard. She said many of other disgusting rhetoric. She's also put bounties on other content creators' heads for daring to have different opinions than her. There's really nothing else to really say about her at this point that's not already been said. But also we have this section here where now Ethan has challenged Idubbbz to a debate on Israel and Palestine. And he kind of opened this up for himself. In the video, Idubbbz lectured Ethan on this whole conflict. And yeah, you're opening yourself up to this potential situation.
Perhaps coming towards Israel, where Ela grew up. Perhaps from Lebanon, Hezbollah, perhaps. Does that ring a bell to you, you dumb, ignorant fuck? How dare you attempt to lecture me on this conflict? You just learned about this like 2 weeks ago, clearly, and you're just deferring to Hasan as an expert. It's mind-bendingly dumb. Bro, please call in and debate me on Israel-Palestine. Let's see who knows more about the conflict, you dumb fuck.
0% chance that happens, by the way. Absolutely 0% chance. But say what you want again about Ethan Klein. He did something that a lot of his detractors in the video would never dare to do, and that's actually confront what was being said as soon as he found out. He found out about this content cop as he was live, and I think the timing of that was not a coincidence. They wanted to basically startle him while he was live to try to get a reaction out of him, but they got the reaction they didn't want. He actually responded by immediately turning on the content cop without any sort of preparation, because he was able to take on what they're saying, because what they were saying is what the ghostwriters of the video have been saying for years. He was prepared. He made this part 1 and then the next day made part 2, responding to everything. This is something that some of the participants like Hasan Piker refused to do with the content nukes about him that was uploaded by Ethan Klein. But yeah, this whole situation is an absolute mess, and at this point, what else do you have to say about any of this? I mean, this video was an absolute bomb, a disaster, and really just besmirched and destroyed the legacy that was the Content Cop series. He dug up the grave of the series just to release this stinker that even people who are impartial to these parties understand was a very reckless and unneeded content cope of a session. It's just bad. But anyways, that's going to do it for this video. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.